Wednesday's events included the Food for Thought Luncheon, where veteran telecommunicator Tracy Walton shared her story, featured on National Geographic. Take a look at some of the highlights.
As we mentioned at our opening session, our membership numbers are at an all-time high. And that's due in no small part to the hard work of individual chapters recruiting new members. The award for chapter growth in number of members for adding 288 new members is presented to the Atlantic chapter and is accepted by their president, Craig Scholl. The award for chapter growth by percentage for an increase of 98% is presented to the Arizona chapter and is accepted by their president, Tony Rogers. The award for membership by population density is presented to our Montana chapter, accepted by Susan Bomstead.
The theme for APCO 2013 is Connect, Innovate, and Accelerate, which coincidentally are also our promises to the public safety market. For over 40 years, Cassidian Communications has provided the 911 call center, land mobile radio, and notification solutions that keeps people connected when it matters most. We are dedicated to working with the APCO organization and others like it to develop the next generation of public safety communications, delivering the integrated multimedia solutions necessary to find innovative ways to keep all of our communities safe. And we are committed to providing the open, standards-based solutions needed to accelerate the realization of the industry's vision for truly interoperable communications. As part of EADS, a global aerospace, defense, and security company of over $74 billion in revenue and 140,000 employees worldwide, Cassidian Communications is proud to offer next-generation call processing, notifications, and land mobile radio solutions that help the safety of our first responders and the communities they serve. And now, I would like to introduce our keynote presentation. The attitude you have in life is your choice, and that attitude will determine your destiny. Over the next 30 minutes, you will hear the harrowing account of a June 2012 phone call and how it impacted the life of a veteran telecommunicator as well as her family and co-workers. Please welcome Tracy Walton, Training Coordinator at the York-Pockeson-Williamsburg Regional Communication Center, and APCO's first Vice President, Gigi Smith.
What has been the funniest call that your center's ever taken?
Gigi, I think the funniest call our center has ever taken was, came in one night about 11:30, and there was this female in crisis. And she was stuck in her automobile, her battery was dead, and she couldn't get out of her car.
That was your center?
That was our center.
I have probably seen that YouTube video 100 times, as I'm sure most of you have as well. So Tracy, what is the most memorable call you've ever taken?
The most memorable call I've ever taken didn't actually occur at work. I was at home, and it was several hours after coming off a night shift. And in fact, I brought a National Geographic video to share with you. And after that video, I'll be glad to answer some of their questions.
His condition is critical. Fearing the worst, the squad mates kiss their friend goodbye.
Gigi, that Special Forces Green Beret, Green Beret medic is my son.
There was a couple things that I picked up in that video that reminded me of the job that we do as telecommunicators. The first one is the golden hour. Can you explain a little bit more about what that is?
Yes, the golden hour, as we train it, we want our dispatchers to understand that there's that significant time of space that when trauma happens to the body, they need to get that person to advanced medical facility in order to increase their chances of survival. And of course, every 10 minutes beyond that golden hour decreases that chance of survival.
So Tracy, tell me a little bit more about when you took the call.
Gigi, it was June the 9th, 2012, and I had gotten off a graveyard shift that morning, and the phone call actually woke me up about 11:30 that morning. And on the other side of the phone was a man who identified himself as Lieutenant Colonel Smith, Battalion Commander for the 7th Group Special Forces stationed out of Destin, Florida, which was my son's group. He immediately said that my son was critically injured in Afghanistan by an IED. And I asked him if he would hold on for just a moment because I needed to get pen and some paper to write down his name and number in case we got disconnected.
So that's when you went in?
Yeah.
Dispatcher mode.
That's an important piece.
So you got the tools you needed.
Yes.
You started asking the questions, and you took control of that call.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Okay, so when I got back to the phone, he immediately stated that my son had a right leg amputation above the knee. I asked him how far, he wasn't sure. That he had had a right arm amputation below the elbow. Again, he wasn't sure how far. And that he had a severe pelvic trauma injury to his pelvic area. It was what they called a P3, split open like a book from the front and the back. And they had actually placed an external fixator on his pelvic, 2 screws coming out and a plate going across in order to stabilize it for transport. And I asked the Lieutenant Colonel if he would just pause for a moment and let me start asking him the questions. So first, I needed to validate the credibility of who I was speaking with. And I asked him to confirm my son's date of birth and social security number, which he did. And then I asked him to let me guide him through the image of his body. I needed to know in my own mind from head to toe how he was injured. So I started with neurological, with the head, and I asked him if he had any neurological damage. He said he didn't think so, but that currently he was in a drug-induced coma because of his critical state. He did say to me, however, that he assisted his teammates in the field with placing the tourniquets on his legs, and that he was speaking to the doctors in the emergency room, so he didn't think he had severe neurological damage, if any. From that point, we went into his vision. Did he have any vision damage, hearing damage? We regrouped the right side of his body, the right arm amputation, and hopefully they would be able to save the elbow, the right leg amputation. Then we went to the left side. He had a fracture in his humerus, a break in his thumb that they already had pins in, and of course the soft tissue damage on his left leg that at least they would have to do skin grafts on. And then again, back to the pelvic. So after I got a clear description of how his body was positioned, then I asked him for an ETA back to the States. Lieutenant Colonel said, "Mrs. Walton, I've never in my career given this kind of information to a parent who has ever been as composed and in control as you have been." And I thanked him, but really in my mind, and what I did not say to him was, this is not about me. The call was not about me. It was about my son. He's doing absolutely fantastic today. He had 2 goals when he woke up in the hospital, and it was probably about 9 days they had him sedated. And within the first 2 days awake, his first goal, he said, was to be able to walk and to get down on his knee and propose to his girlfriend, Emmy, at Walt Disney World. That was their favorite place. His second goal that he made a week and a half in was to be redeployable and get back with his team within a year of injury. In fact, Gigi, he would have been here with us today. He was invited to be here, but he's currently redeployed with his team as a Green Beret medic in South America.